here for a 20-minute rest. We are going to be a little bit yin-ish in our rest today, so you might get a little hip opening stretch included in your experience. But we'll start on our back, so that's called supine. And I have a blanket folded here with not too much height, just a little bit. And I've got a bolster and a couple of blocks. So you want your blanket to be flat, and I want a little bit of an edge here on the blanket. And then I'm going to move my bolster. I'm going to put the bolster under my knees. You may or may not need a bolster under your knees. I just know that I do for my back. So you can do it with or without the bolster. If you're not using the bolster, you're welcome to keep the knees bent or to lay the legs like Shavasana. The blanket, I want this blanket to not be under my shoulders, but to land right below my shoulder blades. So it's under my lower ribs. And the tip of my shoulder blades are not on the blanket. So it's gonna come down kind of like this. It's a little bit back bendy. And my whole shoulder blade is off of the blanket. But the blanket is lifting up the low ribs that are under my shoulder blade. And then I'm gonna put the block in my hands like this. So you can use a shoebox, you can use a book, you can use a water bottle. That's going to come up overhead. And so I'm just gonna let this breathe into my body. I like it. So we're gonna come out of that. Hi, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here for 20 minutes of rest. Whew, I'm ready, so I'm ready. Let's get started. I have a blanket, a bolster, and 2 blocks today. And I'd like to start mostly with the 2 blocks. I'm going to use the bolster because I know my low back prefers it. It may or may not be necessary for you, but I'm just going to throw my legs over here to support my low back. This block is going to go under my, it's like not under the shoulder blades, but lower than that. So it's going to come to the back ribs, above where the kidneys are, but below where the shoulders are. So about at that point. And so to get me there, I'm going to hold the block and kind of lie back onto it. My shoulders are hanging off the block. And already, just getting there, I can feel that my arms want to go overhead, and that's good. The second block is going to go in my hands this way, and it's going to come up and overhead. So there's quite a bit of upper body opening here. And you'll definitely have sensation, which means it's more of a yin pose because I have some pulling and tugging happening through the tissues, and it's giving me some sensation of tension or stretch. It might even make you say, wow, and if you feel like it's too much, then come down and use a blanket instead of the block. So you can see I have a blanket folded, not too deep. And then that would give you a little bit less impact. But otherwise, I'm going to keep us here for just a few more minutes. Deep breath in and a sigh out. And please work yourself curling to the right. Roll off the block. And bring yourself up to seated. So I've got my block right here, or my bolster, sorry, right here where I want it. And we're going to do a supported half pigeon with the front leg thrown up over this bolster. So if you don't have a bolster, you can take a pillow and kind of buckle it, or you can take a bulkier blanket and roll it. I also sometimes roll up an extra yoga mat, or if I'm happy on the carpet, I might take this yoga mat and roll it up and place a blanket over that rolled yoga mat. But in any case, I'm coming to bring my right leg up and over this bolster and to get the left leg behind. For some of us, the knee and the back might best stay bent. And so this would be more like what Max Strong calls a Z pose, where the back leg is bent and the right knee is bent, and you're folding forward over the front leg. If you're able to come deeper into the hip pocket with the back leg straight and the hips squared off, then it's more like a half pigeon. In either case, get yourself situated the best you can. In this shape, you'll want to feel a little bit of intensity. Like I said, this is more of a yin style today, but you want to be able to breathe through it. So if you're feeling anything sharp and pinching, might feel like injury, definitely adjust away from that, around that. Like I said, bending the back knee is a nice way to regulate the intensity. Straightening the leg a little bit more intense. So we'll be here for a few minutes. And the key to these asanas is to stay in relationship with your breath. Like you might meditate when you're seated at the beach. You might meditate on the inflow and outflow of the waves. And just gaze at the water and watch the rhythm and the flow, and the pace and the tossing and the turning. And that same experience here, and your two eyes closed and your inner eyes gazing at the flow of the breath, and the tossing and the turning and the in and the outs. And meditate on your breath. breath in and sigh out. Let gravity have just this last moment. Just release any effort to gravity. And then walk yourself upright. Actually push into the bolster so that you can get your right leg off and come to a child's pose. And you might need a breath or two longer to complete the rebound or the release of that asana. It can be an intense half pigeon when you're on the bolster. When you're ready, come back to all fours. Bring the left knee forward of the bolster so it's not on top of the bolster, it's angled out in front of, the shin in front of. Remember, you always have the option, and it's not less than, it's just different than. So even if you're able to straighten the leg, you might decide at some point that you want to bend the back knee and get a little bit of a different experience. So either the back leg bent or squaring into the hips. And I'm using a block underneath the forehead. You can use your block that way, you can use the fists, but you most certainly want your forehead to have some place to rest. You don't want to use effort to hold your head up here. The more relaxed you become, the deeper into the subconnective tissues. And we want to get deep into the hip pocket here. And if you have some neurological activity, some firing of the electric system in your brain, aka thinking, just don't worry about that. Just stay with the meditation of the breath. Follow the in and the out. Feel the texture of the air, the inner nostrils, the temperature, pace. See if you can find any sensation as the breath crests up and over the top of the nostrils and descends down into your airways, into your brachial tubes, into your lungs. And each lobe all the way down to the basement, and then as it travels back out, follow the flow. And we'll be here one more full minute, so see if there is any little vibration that needs to be quieted or released, and just invite that for this last minute. Invite that to happen. And then walk yourself upright, push your hands into your bolster. Hold the left knee up and over and back to meet the right, child's pose. Relax your jaw and your inner throat. Let the teeth be soft in the sockets and the eyes relax. And we're going to end with a legs up the wall pose. There are a lot of different ways that you can arrange for legs up a wall. One of my favorites is just to bend my knees and set my feet up on a chair or the couch or my bed. And that's a really nice way to just rest. Also, you could come to the wall and bring your legs straight up and lean your heels on the wall. If you're in the middle of the floor with not too much wall space and no furniture, you can bring a block or a rolled blanket under your hips. And the feet just come up. It's a really beautiful asana for draining the lactic acid. A little bit of puddling happening here at the thymus and thyroid area, which is nourishing. And also the blood flow coming down triggers the nervous system to relax. So your body gets to have a little opportunity to counter all the stressful go, go, go. We'll be here for long enough to shift a little bit of the blood chemistry. The arms can go out along the sides. You can stack your hands on your stomach, on your heart. I tend to go with whatever feels most natural. There are no requirements. turning your legs. They might shift a little forward, a little bit back, a little left or right. But most often, they'll find a point where they'll just float in the air effortlessly. And if that's not happening for you, then go close to the wall. Lean your heels along the wall. Bend your knees with the feet on the bed. Go somewhere where you don't have to hold your legs up. Feel your back body into the floor, the back of the head, the backs of the shoulders. If you're on a block, feel for that. Otherwise, the mat under your low back. If your feet are against the wall or on the chair, whatever that is, feel for it. If you are using a block or something under your hips, bring your feet to the ground and remove that. If not, simply bring your knees to your chest, and we'll meet knees to chest with the arms wrapped around the legs. You might bring the chin or the nose or the forehead up to the knees just to lengthen the back of the neck and relieve any congestion there. And I don't want to hurry you. You might have time to linger. It's definitely time for me to say namaste. So if you're moving on with me, rock your knees to one side or the other. Push yourself up to seated. Come on up, land your hands at your heart center. And pause for a moment of gratitude. Whatever you were able to capture from the practice, be grateful for that. And then thumb knuckles to the third eye. I wish you well. Namaste. Thank you.